if they were in battle, and all of the films we saw where Turks were kind of treated in films.
Prince said he don't want to go to Turkey now. It's dangerous.
When we got to Turkey, we were received with such generosity and such kindness everywhere we went that I was overwhelmed. And the kindness.
Quran that relate to the gift of the stranger, the gift of the other.
I remember we were in Istanbul and we were right under a minaret when I heard it for the first time, and this soulful call.
When I went in the blue mosque and took off my shoes,
I just know that the schools that we saw were amazing. They were brilliant. They were great.
And what we began to realize is their teachers model to them how to be. So while they're having things put in their heads,
good fruit comes from a good tree. And in this case, the good tree has had its roots in the philosophy and the reflection of Fethullah Gulen.
Ghislaine, first of all, would be thank you. I'm grateful for the fact that you have touched the lives of many people who are using their lives not just to say thanks to you.
Dialogue brings out the best in humans because dialogue asks us to be curious, and it asks us to listen, and it asks us to avoid feeling like we're some sort of center of the universe that defines what's normal.
How difficult is it to speak of dialogue and tolerance in an era in which rudeness, rigidity, and self-centeredness is so evident and even normalized? The probability of not being understood or being misunderstood is very high. But if peace is desired on earth, and if the world craves to see the face of peace that makes us warm inside, we must speak of tolerance and dialogue, sincerely, without hesitation.
Oh, there are lots of different definitions and lots of different reasons for dialogue. In the simplest definition, and the way I think it's most often employed here, certainly in this country, is learning more about each other, getting to know each other in a way that promotes understanding and appreciation rather than tension and critique.
I think the best way to cut through the prejudice is for people to get to know each other. That sounds so simplistic, but really every time you get to know someone who's a Muslim and you get to know someone well enough so you can say, well, why do you do that? Or what does this mean to you? Or would you be offended if I said this? Then you get heart-to-heart conversation back. You're learning, but it's not like the classroom. You're learning through your heart.
I believe that Muslims need to dialogue with members of other faiths, not necessarily, not at all for the reason of trying to persuade or convince or convert, but simply to present Islam as it is. And as we know, the Quran says that Allah guides those who He will.
Some turn to a deaf ear to dialogue calls because they cannot understand. Others because it clashes with their interests. But such terrible events as we live today show that people will need to pay attention to this call more and more with each day. There is no door that good representation and correct explanation cannot open, no heart that they cannot enter.
The concept of dialogue has evolved a great deal in recent years, and I think particularly in this country since 9/11 and the questions that people have about who Muslims are and what they believe and what it is that the Quran tells them.
Before 9/11, there was just a lot of ignorance about Muslims. And if people had any ideas, they were from films. I think after 9/11, people got much more interested in learning about Islam and started to reach out to get together with Muslims, and Muslims reached out to non-Muslims in the U.S., and there have been a lot of activities that have brought people together.
I think it's absolutely crucial that the dialogue go on, that it continue, and that more and more efforts for dialogue be initiated. And I've seen that happen in, I would say, in the past couple of years. If there's any good, if one could say anything good happened after September 11th, I think a good positive development that has occurred is more and more people have realized how important dialogue and mutual understanding among religions really is.
Again, even really educated people in Europe and in the United States are extremely ignorant about Islam, about all the variety of movements. And so that I think it's really important for myself and other people, people who are studying Islam, to become knowledgeable about all the Islamic movements and the contemporary manifestations of Islam for the purpose of educating. Because we are not all the same. Islam is not monolithic. And that's, you would think that that's a given, that anybody Western or non-Western would know that, and yet they don't. Because the other, those other people, those people from that other culture or that other religion, they always think that somehow you're all the same.
For me, the prejudices against Islam they exist, but I think they're getting less, actually, and less since 9/11 in the United States. Because, frankly, a lot of people in the United States want to learn about Islam now. They really are interested in it. They know they don't understand it, and they're trying to find ways to meet Muslims. They might not know what to ask, and they might come to the wrong conclusion right off the bat, but it isn't because they want to dislike you. It is simply a question of not quite knowing where to start.